guys, welcome to my channel. And on today's tutorial I'm going to be teaching you how to take basic measurements. This tutorial covers all forms of measurements that you need to take for your clients, so it's all encompassed. They're going to be, you can use this measurement for drafting a top pattern, for drafting a skirt, for drafting a trouser or pants, and also for drafting a dress. So this tutorial covers all areas of sewing for female. So what are the required materials that you need to take this measurement? First, you need a model, that is a human model or a mannequin, as you have here. I have my mannequin here. That's my model for today I'm going to be using. You also need a book that you're going to be using for taking your measurements, to writing down your measurements. You need your pen, you need your ruler, just make some alterations and aligning. And lastly, you need your measuring tape, that is popularly called tape rule. All right, so basically there are two forms of measurement that we use. First, we have the length measurement. This length measurement covers the length area of the body. So from your shoulder down to your ankle. So these measurements will go through all that you need to take for this line. And then the second measurement is the circumference measurement, also known as the width measurement. So this circumference measurement is used to cover all the line, or the round measurement of your body for your clients or for your model or for whoever you are using this measurement for. So it's basically this concept of taking measurements is just like you drafting a graph. So just like you have the horizontal axis, you also have the vertical axis. And this is what you combine together when you are drafting your pattern to give you a well-structured design. All right, so after this explanation, I want us to get practical about it. So at this point, if you have not subscribed, I want to implore you to subscribe and share, like this, and comment, like this video. One major thing that you must take note of while taking your measurements is your measuring tape. So the measuring tape has two sides to it. We have the side that covers the inches. This side covers the inches, so it's being measured in inches, while the other side covers centimeter. If you look at it, it's quite different. The centimeter seems tinier than the inches. So I'm going to be doing another video to explain how to make these calculations. It's very, very easy and it's very, very simple. Just observe it, take note of it. If you are a beginner, this is a very necessary thing for you to note. So this side is inches, while this side is in centimeter. All right, so the first thing that you have to do now is to take your shoulder measurement. This shoulder measurement goes from your collarbone to the other collarbone, that is from one side of the collarbone to the other collarbone. And that's what I'm going to be doing on my mannequin. So to get this accurately, I usually tell my clients to turn to their back. So in some other places they call it back measurement, but for me I'm calling it the shoulder measurement. So you take it here. So let's assume that this is my mannequin's collarbone. So most of the time I usually stylishly just trace it out on my clients and try to check it on them where the collarbone lies. So just take it from your collarbone to the collarbone. So whatever you have there, for my mannequin I have 15. If you see it, I have 15 inches. So whatever you have there, you record it down. All right. So after this, we take this measurement that I'm taking now is the length measurement. The length measurement, right? So after that, from the neck, the peak of your neck here, the peak of your neck here, not from the shoulder line, from the peak of your neck, you take your measurement across the apex of the bust. Now take note that you're not supposed to slant downward, because if you slant downward, the measurement will not be correct. It's going to be an incorrect measurement. So you place it across the bust point, making sure that it goes across the apex of the bust. So this is how you place your measuring tape when taking your measurement. So the first thing you take is the neck depth, depending on the style. But basically, some people have preferences. You hear them saying, no, I don't want my neck to be deep, or I don't want my neck to be high for whatever design you're making for me. So if it's a first time client, I like asking a lot of questions, because it would be ridiculous for me to ask the clients to come back for measurement again. It's time wasted. So since this measurement is going to cover every of the design I'm going to be making for them, I prefer to ask questions. So you just take it, whatever the neck depth they like, depending on the style they are showing from you. So you may take it. After that, you take the high bust. If you note, I've mentioned the neck depth, the high bust. So I'm going to make a list of all these measurements and post it on this video. So the neck, from the apex of the neck, you go the neck depth, then the high bust. This high bust is used when you are drafting your corset and when you are drafting your tube top or gown. Then after that, you take the apex of the bust, the apex of the bust, which is the nipple, that's the shoulder to your nipple. Then after that, you go down and you take your under bust measurements. So this under bust is just the line after the bust point. You see it there. where the bust area goes in. That's your under bust is the natural curve, measurement. All right. So for some people, it is called the high waist measurement. So every female with an average size has a place where the curves goes in for them. Like if you look at the silhouette of this my gown, that this, like for me, for example, you can see that there's a place where the measurement comes in the most before the hip bulge comes out. So that place that goes in is what we call the natural curve, or you say the eye bust. Now look at what I'm saying. If you look at this line, this particular line here, it goes in by the side, it goes in. So that's where your natural curve is. So you take whatever you have there. Don't forget that I'm still holding the apex of my neck. So I'm still taking it all across. By the time you master this act, within minutes you're already done. You just measure it, plan, you're already done. So after that, you take whatever you have there. For my mannequin, I have 15 points. I have 16 rather. So that's the natural curve. And then after that, we take the navel measurements. So I sometimes ask my clients to just touch their navel measurements. So the essence of having a navel measurement is most of the time when you're joining your fabric, like the upper part, like what I'm wearing now, the upper part to the lower part, it's usually the standard, or let me say the most used measurement is 2 inches above the navel. So for you to be able to measure the 2 inches above the navel, then you have to guess what the navel is actually. And sometimes you can just figure it out by touching the natural curve or the high bust that I just explained to you. So for my mannequin, the navel is 18. Then after that, you take your top length measurement. Your top length measurement. So I oftentimes ask the clients, how long do you want your tops to be? It depends on the type of top you are making. So, but basically they are standard for top length. So most top usually fit well when they rest on the hip line. So, and sometimes the clients might decide to say, oh no, I don't want it, it's too long. Some might say, oh, I want it to just rest on my navel. So just ask the clients, how long would you want your tops to be? So even if I'm going to be altering it to extend it or to make it crop, but I need to know the standard that you would like. So after taking the top length measurement for my mannequin, I can say the top length is 23 inches. Then after that, we keep moving, and then you go down by taking your shoulder to hip. This shoulder to hip indicates where the hip comes out the most. That is the apex of the hip. That place that bulges out the most for your client. So what do? I just use my eyes to trace it, or sometimes I use my hand to trace it. So the apex of the hip is the hip, shoulder to hip measurement. So for my mannequin, I have it as 27. So most people, it is between 28, 27, and the like. And there are some calculations that are being done that you can actually derive from your navel to your hip. Sometimes they say for people that are short, you can have 9 inches. For people that are tall, you can have like maybe 10 inches. Some people 8, and some people that are petite, you can have it 7 inches actually. The apex of your hip is your shoulder to hip measurement. You just trace it out. For my mannequin, it's 27. All right. So the next thing you take now is your shoulder to knee measurement. So you take it all the way down, not forgetting that it has to stand on your bra bust point, and then you take it all the way down to where the knee length is. So you take whatever you have. For my mannequin, I have it as 42. The knee measurement, I have it as 42 on my mannequin. And then after that, you go down by taking your shoulder to ankle. Shoulder to ankle. So whatever you have on your client's ankle, you take it, and then shoulder to floor length.
The next measurement now we are taking is the round measurement, or what you call the circumference measurement. Now, just like we did, the first one is the shoulder to shoulder measurement, which we have done earlier on. And then the next one we are going to be doing is the bust point measurement. So you take your measuring tape all the way around your bust area. You measure your bust area, ensuring that it stands well on the apex of the bust. Don't forget the apex of the bust, that is where you place your measuring tape. So whatever you have there, you take note of it. For my mannequin, I have it as 35. Then after that, you take the eye bust measurement. This eye bust measurement is the circumference for your eye bust length that you have taken. We took shoulder to eye bust. So this circumference is what you will mark. And it's like I initially explained that it's just like you are drafting a graph. So what you have, remember the quadratic equation that we did back in school. So we track the graph. The same thing applies to this. So the high bust measurement for my mannequin is 33. The next one you have is the under bust measurement. The round measurement for the under bust for my mannequin is 28. And then you go to your natural curve as well, 25 for my mannequin. For the navel, we have 30. And then the same thing applies to the hip. You can see that it's quite easy. You just take it all the way around your client. Now for the hip, I like to adjust it such that it goes up and down easily. You know, it goes up and down easily. So for my mannequin, it is 41 that I have there. So armhole or arm depth measurement, armhole or arm depth measurement. So I just take my measurement tape all the way around your arm, whatever you have there. For my mannequin, I have 15 inches. And then after that, you have your round sleeve measurement. Your round sleeve measurement. The round sleeve measurement for my mannequin is 10. So I like to take it all the way down. So when I get to the ankle, I just tell my clients to fold their hands. When I'm making this technique is used when you are making, is applied when you are making the two-piece sleeve. The two-piece sleeve is type of sleeve mostly that we use on blazers, on jackets, on suits. So that by the time they fold their hands, it won't be too tight. You understand? So I tell them to whatever I have there as round measurements, I mark it. The same thing, I go all the way down to your wrist. I take it as well. The same way I did that, I take the sleeve length as well. Whatever length you have for cap sleeve, for normal sleeve, for three-quarter length, for elbow length, and for the full. After that, you have, this is what I mean by the lap measurement. So you measure it all the way round your lap. And after that, you have your knee roundness measurement. So this measurement goes round the knee. And then I like to take the calf measurement. Some people don't take it, but I like to take it because I'm well detailed. I'm very detailed to the last information when measuring my clients. So you take it. And then the last one is the ankle measurement. You take your measuring tape round the ankle. I measure my bust point to bust point, the nipple to nipple measurement. If you have any question regarding this tutorial that I've just made, I want you to comment and make the question known in the comment section. I'm going to be checking through and I will reply you. I want you to just share this video, inform anyone. If you have anyone that is just starting to learn fashion designing, this video is for you. All right, guys, I'll see you next time.